He all chilled, laid back. I'm excited for him.
Mm-hmm.
And we're live, you know.
Jobber Nation, welcome to another episode of the JTP Lounge. As always, I am Janelle from HR here with Mr. Black. Sir Wilkins is actually on an assignment. He double books himself. Like we live busy lives, so it's understandable. We are actually, this is our kickoff special series to Battle Club Pros show coming up on May 29th. So shout outs to Joe Keen and the whole team at Battle Club. So we have a very special guest who's going to kill it in a few weeks here in New York, New Jersey. So as anyone that comes on, I don't introduce them, they introduce themselves. So let the world know who you are.
Yeah, man. So for those who don't know, I go by many names. The Big Bad Kaiju, King of Kaijus, O'Shea Edwards, gonna rock, Ring of Honor and Battle Club Pro in a few weeks.
There you go. So welcome to the lounge. This is more, you already kick back and relax, so you're already set for the atmosphere that we're going for. I'm gonna let Mr. Black, since pre-production, I asked a lot of questions. So I'm gonna let Mr. Black ask the first few questions. Just so that the fans can get to know you, and then we'll also mix in some some personal questions, some high-end questions, all that jazz. So Mr. Black, go start us off.
So let's start with the real basics. Where did your love of wrestling come from? And when was the first moment you realized that I want to do this for the rest of my life?
I think
Hello?
everybody froze up.
Oh,
Hello.
we're here.
Okay, there we go. Everybody went dark on me. I was like, uh-oh.
Oh,
So if you said a question, I
sorry.
completely missed it.
Yeah.
My question was, let's start with the real basics, the softball questions. What was the moment that you realized that wrestling is for you and you want to do for the rest of your life?
Say it one more time. I got like the second part of that. I'm sorry.
Basically, I was just saying, just to keep it. I know the audience heard it 1,001 times. What was the moment you realized that wrestling was for you?
Oh man, honestly, it was the first day I started training. I'm an athlete by nature. That's kind of how I grew up. And so I think the first day that I got a chance to get in the ring and roll around, and you take that first bump, and you didn't break anything, I was like, okay, I think I might got something here. And because after the first day, everything started to basically just kind of fall into place like a duck in water. And so ever since that first day, man, I was like, yo, I'm in. I got this. This is not going to be a problem at all.
So, any other sports you played growing up?
That's when I think around that age, that's when kids started throwing like a little harder and started throwing like curveballs and stuff, and I couldn't hit to save my life, so I transformed to football, and it kind of worked out for the best. But when I was in high school, it was like football, and then I would do a shot put and track.
Okay. So, what was your position that you played in football?
Offensive guard in high school, and then when I went to college, transitioned to offensive tackle.
So since you being on the offensive line a lot, did some of those skills you being on the line translate into wrestling?
Oh yeah. It's a lot of it is like most wrestlers have like moves. When you're on the offensive and defensive line, like you have moves too. and the biggest thing was the first move never beats you, the second move never beats you, the third move is what got you. And so as an offensive lineman, you had to have more than one move, you know. So and you always had to be on the defensive, even as an offensive lineman for those moves. So if a dude had a spin move, you had a move to counteract his spin move. If you had a bull rush, you had a move to counteract the bull rush. If you had a swim move, you know, you had a move in your arsenal to counteract the swim move. So it was always, believe it or not, like it was a very violent chess match of trying to figure out what move this guy across me going to do, and then how can I beat him. And for wrestling, it was more the same of, I know this guy has this move, this was this move. Okay, cool. I have this move, this move, this move. How can my moves beat his moves? But of course, there's a little bit more nuance than that compared to wrestling than football. But
yeah.
For the most part, for purposes of the question, it translates very well.
So who trains you in wrestling?
Initially it was Johnny Swinger, who's currently in Impact. But after a while, I got an invitation to train with Robert Gibson, and talking to Johnny, he was like, no, go train with Robert. Like, Robert can teach you all the stuff that I can't. So Johnny taught me the basics to basically not look stupid, but Robert's the one who got me to the point to where, like, I can venture it I can hold my own in and out the ring regardless of the situation.
So what was the biggest difference in their teaching style? Hello?
Oh, did I get cut off? I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah. I said, what was the biggest difference in the teaching style?
No, like I said, yeah. Oh, yeah. So for Johnny, it was mainly like Johnny was teaching basics and teaching you not to hurt yourself. And no offense to how Johnny taught, because I appreciate everything. Johnny taught as if, okay, this is a hobby. Like, guys just want to learn how to wrestle. But when you go see Robert Gibson, Robert's like, I'm treating this like you're trying to treat this as a career. You try to teach us that you try to be on TV. So cool. Let me teach you how we do this on TV. And it's a whole new way of thinking from when you're just wrestling in front of like a few hundred people, for when you're wrestling and there's a camera in your face. It's completely different.
Okay.
So what would you describe your wrestling style? Like, you have the technical wrestlers, you have strong style, you have all these different types. Like, how would you define your style of wrestling?
It's more of a brawler powerhouse type style of wrestling. I had a wrestling critic describe it like this: is my offense isn't pretty, but when you're in a fight, when you're like a legitimate fight, when is the last legitimate fight you've seen ever been pretty? And so it's been one of those things of where I'm not here to win beauty contests. My fighting style is effective because it works. The fact that it's ugly only just enhances the performance, because it's like, man, this isn't pretty by any stretch of the imagination, but you can't say it doesn't work. Because when you double man on his head, you double man on his head, regardless of how pretty it looks.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's just as effective.
So, Mr. Black, for that, the most basic question is, who's your favorite wrestler of all time?
There you go.
Of all time,
I'd tell you
what.
Outside of yourself.
Of all time, without it being The Rock, because that's such an easy. Outside of The Rock, because that's such an easy question for me. It's always gonna be The Rock. So, but I like to give another one. Is actually, if it ain't The Rock, it's Ron Simmons. It'll always be Ron Simmons. Ron Simmons was like, even before my time to like start watching wrestling, but as I got older and I started to appreciate what wrestling is, I started to go back and watch more Ron Simmons, especially when he was with Butch Reed and they were Doom. Like, that's before my time, but I just fell in love with it. And I got a chance to meet Ron like a few years ago, and like, yo, I'm a big dude. I would probably have to shoot Ron Simmons twice. Like that's how like imposing he is physically, even like in his 60s. I'm like, yo, that's a grown man right there, man. I ain't trying to mess with him. Yo, Ron Simmons will mess me up, man. And I'm like, I don't want to find out, like, because how do I go back to work? So, hey, man, did Ron Simmons kick your ass? Like, hey, man, we don't talk about that, dog. You know. So, but no, it's always been Ron Simmons. I always have a deep, deep, deep respect for Ron Simmons.
So you mentioned a little bit about learning what wrestling, means to you, what type of life it is to you. So kind of elaborate on that a little bit. Like when someone would ask you, what does wrestling mean to you? Like how would you answer that?
Man, wrestling is a lot of things to a lot of people. To some people, wrestling is a business. To some people, wrestling is an art. For me, it's both. It's wrestling is the art of business. I am basically what I'm doing is I go out there and I'm going to wrestle for 8 to 10, maybe 12 minutes, and it's this giant commercial is what it is. Because I am trying to make you a fan. Because if I make you a fan, you come to my table and you want to buy something, and then the more you see me, the more you're going to want to buy something because you want to be a part of it, of what's going on. So it's this whole thing of I wrestle to get you to come interact with me, because if I can interact with you, then we can conduct true business, which is really what I'm after. So it becomes one of those things of the art of selling oneself is crucial and it's key. Some people take themselves too serious. Some people don't take themselves too serious enough. But it's to find that fine line between where I take myself seriously as a businessman, but I do understand what I do is I come to the ring and I, in a costume and with a persona and this, that, and the other, and I'm going to give you a show. But it's after the show is what I'm after, because I want to conduct business.
So what tips would you give to somebody who's young in the game that you had learned the hard way, and you want to give? Basically, my question is this: what advice would you give to somebody who's up and coming in the business that you wish that you had known when you was up and coming?
Get used to the word no. Like get used to it. Get acquainted to it. Almost fall in love with the word no. No is the worst word that you're ever going to hear, but at the same time, no is also the most powerful word in independent wrestling. If you don't want to do something, no, I'm not doing it. Hey, you want to do this show? No. Hey, you want to wrestle this guy? No. Hey, you want to wrestle for $5 in a handshake? Hell no. But on the flip side of that, when you try to present yourself, be prepared for them to tell you no. But coupled with that, for every time that you're going to hear the word no, it's an opportunity for someone else to say yes. But with that being said, you need to prepare yourself so you take away every reason for someone to ever tell you no. That way, if for whatever reason they don't want to bring you on, they don't want to use you, it's not because you aren't good. It's not because you haven't put yourself in position. It's just for whatever reason they have something personal against you. And if that's the case, that speaks more of them than it will ever of you.
So you Smidge talked about like your gear and things like that. How did you come up with the whole I don't like saying gimmick because I just feel like that's so cliche. But like even to the mask, I'm more interested in how did you?
No, I get it.
Because I think everyone says gimmick, and it's just like, no, it doesn't have to be that. But where did you come up with the idea and the vision of the mask? Because it actually low key reminds me of Fatu's whole crew, and I was just like, who did it first? So where did the whole in terms of your attire? Where is that what's the background in that?
Well, so I have a heavy Japanese influence in my life. I just always do since a little kid. I can never really explain it. I just always had an affinity for that culture, the country, the people, the food, like you name it. If you just said Japan, I was in. Like this is kind of how it went. Um, and so once I kind of realized how big wrestling was, and I could watch like a lot of like DDT and Noah and All Japan and New Japan and all that good stuff. It just like the wheels started turning, and you know, a lot of it boils down to when people say the word like demon, they always have like this negative connotation. Like, oh, demons are bad, demons are this. I'm like, no, that's not always true.
I mean,
that's just kind of how the stories go. I mean, it depends. But here's the thing, though. Depending on who you asking, like, demons mean so many different other things. Like, so they're guardians and they're protectors, and there's this, that, and the other. Now, on the flip side, yeah, you have what we all know what demons are, but even still, like, there's always been like this other side of the coin when it comes to it. For me, it's always been one of those things that we all have our things that we battle with and all that good stuff. But for me, it was instead of trying to fight myself, let me back up. There's a saying, this is like, I don't fight my demons. We're on the same side now. And if I'm not going to fight myself, that means the rest of you guys are screwed. Because the only person who will ever beat me is me. No one can ever hurt me more than I hurt myself. But if I'm on my own side, oh man, the rest of y'all are done. Because you can't hurt me now. I've already done to myself. And there's nothing you can do to me that I haven't done to myself already. And so the mask is a representation of me being me and my demons on the same side. And so it's one of those things of where now that me and my demons are on the same side, you're literally bringing a warrior to the battlefield. Well, what do you think's going to happen? You about to get ate up.
Your ass beat, because you look badass with that mask. Not everybody can pull off a mask.
That is true.
So, like when I be watching ROH, and I forgot what you just had a mask recently, well, a TV wise.
I was really worried. I was really worried that mask wouldn't work either.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh no, it works. Listen, from fan to superstar.
I was really worried that mask wasn't gonna work.
Because
so it's to a point now where people ask like, yo, can you bring that mask? And I'm like, yeah, I'll bring it.
Because it's you. I if you came out with no mask, I would pull you to the side and be like, where's your mask? Because it's a part of you.
It fits him, and
where's the mask at?
It's just so.
Yeah, where's the mask at?
So I know this is a wrestling podcast, but if you're a fan of our show, you know that we tend to go off the rail.
Yeah,
so let me ask you a question. Other than wrestling, what are you into? I know that you mentioned Japanese culture, so I'm assuming that you're into anime, video games. So is that safe for me to say that you are? Okay. So other than the obvious that I just mentioned, what else are you into?
Yes, hands down. I'm into cars. Good, man. My dad got me into cars. So I'm always like tinkering with cars, always like trying to build cars, modify cars here and there. I love going fast. My partner hates it. They mess with me all the time. Like, you need to slow down. I'm like, I slow down when I see the cops. But I'm big in football. I love football. I'm such a nerd for like football. Like the draft was a few days ago, and like a nerd, I sat there and watched the draft. I'm a Ravens fan. I watched it too. I'm a Ravens fan. I've been a Ravens fan since '96.
I mean,
yeah, love the Ravens. Love the Ravens.
I guess. I mean, at least you're not a Cowboys fan. I can deal with a Ravens.
Yeah. I could have been worse. I could have been a Cowboys fan. I was like, could have been like, I'm a Cowboys fan. No.
You could have. You could have bandwagoned and been Tampa Bay. Like, there's so many options. But Baltimore, okay.
Yeah, yes. No. Only thing I don't stand for is like, oh, I'm a Steelers fan. I'm like, y'all in this podcast right here. Like, we're done.
Steelers.
I don't do Steelers fans.
So I don't. I'm a Steelers fan.
I'm out.
Because I don't deal with rapist quarterbacks. So that's why I'm not, and never be a Steelers fan. But I love.
There it is. I just can't stand him. I just can't stand him.
I love their coach though. Like, he brings joy.
Good coach.
Like,
good coach.
He's a
very
great
good coach.
coach.
Very good coach. Very good coach.
His quarterback is is trash.
Yeah,
Personally,
very
so
good, very good coach.
Well,
Trash.
listen.
He's trash. He's trash.
trash.
I mean,
Because I watched the
listen.
draft too. I sat in the living room and I literally was yelling. My neighbors probably hate me because of the fuckery Jerry did to us switching with Philly. So because I'm a Giants fan, so I'm like, come on, don't do that. Don't.
We're from New York.
bonding.
We're from New York. So
First of all, fun
it's
fact,
pretty
Mr.
obvious.
Black, he was
I'm
born
not
in
mad
Mount
at it.
Vernon.
I'm not mad. Of course, no. Here's the thing: the Giants, the Giants are Patriots kryptonite. Yeah.
That part.
Tom Brady said it himself. Like
the Giants are New England's kryptonite. So I never rooted against the Giants because I'm like, yo, they're the only team to ever beat New England, so I can never be mad at it.
Twice.
And Eli, it's probably like
Twice.
But he has grit. That's the thing about Eli. Like he's forever will be a New York legend. He brought us 2 rings. So he may not be the most prettiest quarterback, but when it matters, he gets it done.
So, O'Shea, where do you think Aaron Rodgers is going to land?
I would say the Giants.
I'm intrigued.
I would say the Giants.
So I was watching that. I was watching that today, and they brought up New Orleans, which I would lose my mind if he went to New Orleans.
I don't know what to do
because I'm just like, yo, what? I wouldn't know what to do. Like, hold on, Matt Ryan, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers in the same division, which means he's both going to play 6 times. Yo, I'm in for that. But they really, I saw New Orleans. They actually brought up Miami, but I'm like, if there's any team that would make more sense, it was New Orleans. Like it just seemed to work. Now, granted, it'd probably be a rental. You know, like you get like 1, maybe 2 years, and Aaron Rodgers is done. Especially if he doesn't get the ring.
2 years max.
If Aaron Rodgers got a ring off that first.
We lost him. We were doing so good.
Yeah, it's there we go. It's football, so you know I wouldn't be don't be shocked if he stays. Don't be shocked if he stays in Green Bay.
Oh, wrestling makes me think everything's a work. So actually, I'm never surprised at anything anymore because I just always think it's the okie doke. Even though Mr. Black hates it, I think everything's a work. Where do you go? I'm gonna need him to get his Wi-Fi together.
I tend to forget that we live in a city, so our Wi-Fi is just it's great, and we have mad options. So I tend to forget that. But when it comes to other states, I go, "Oh yeah."
There we go. I had to get up on Wi-Fi. Is that expired?
Yes, we was like, "Sir, fix your Wi-Fi." Whatever. Mr. Black. Oh, music. What kind of music are you into?
Facts.
I'm a big hip hop kid. But as I've gotten older, my musical tastes have expanded a little bit more. But like if I had to put somebody on repeat, it's going to be a mix between Jay-Z, Busta Rhymes, and Biggie.
That
Busta's a wild card. I would have never.
He is. Yeah. Extinction Level Event got me through high school.
We always have that one album that got us through high school, college, life. You know, personally for me, one album that got me through my whole life is Kanye West Graduation. College Dropout.
College Dropout was really good. Late Registration was such a killer album. And even Graduation was good, but those first 2, man, were just, they were so good.
Like, whenever you was in the grid, whatever you had to go through life, Last Call on album 1, I heard him say on album 2, like, the blend is like, yo, you actually went through it. Honestly, I'm kind of happy he's not the old Kanye because he was wild depressed in his first 2 albums, and he was still trying to figure out life. And you cannot be a billionaire and he's still talking about I'm broke. And you like you understand? It's not gonna hit the same. So he had to naturally grow over time. Don't get me wrong, the old Kanye West will always be magical.
Kanye about to come back though, which I don't know.
Yeah, but here's the thing: you're never gonna get another college dropout, and you're never gonna get another late registration ever again.
No,
like you're never gonna get it. And that's why those albums are like so much fun to listen to, because you know for a fact there's no one else who's ever going to come close to creating something like that ever again.
How important to you do you think theme song music is to a wrestler?
It's everything. It's everything. It sets the tone. It's the first thing you hear. And if you do it right, it transcends wrestling. Tell me last time you went to a restaurant, you heard somebody drop a glass and you automatically didn't look up and goes, Stone Cold about to show up. Like, you know, like I tell people all the time, like, if you pick the right song, it transcends wrestling. It's the first thing people see. It's the first thing people hear, that they know that you're showing up. And like, music is everything. Like, I keep a soundtrack in my head every single day. Like, my life is to a soundtrack.
So what are we playing today? What's today's soundtrack?
Oof. Actually, today's song has been Public Service Announcement by Jay-Z.
Ooh.
Yeah, that song's been going around and around in my head all day long. Then you drop in like some Jadakiss, We Gon' Make It. Some Nino Man gets put in there. The Game drops in. Little Kendrick Lamar drops in. Right, like old T.I. drops in, and if I really in a mood, like some Little John pops in as well. Like when I want to fight somebody, like Little John.
Wait, your fight song is Little John?
Yeah.
Yeah. B.I. Oh, I've been ready to punch man in the mouth. Like, yo, let's go.
Like you just said, like Little John. Like
but
I haven't heard that
Little
name
John.
in years.
Like what?
Right.
John, like what?
Right. But like, but you remember that span of time where like Little John was on everybody.
That was just the South.
Like, like, right. It was the South, but I'm like, yo, y'all listen to this up here, and they're like, oh yeah, like this is hard up here. And I'm like, oh, okay, bad, let's do it. But in the South, yeah, Lil Jon, that dude's a god in the South, man. John down in Atlanta. Like, and then on top of that, like Outkast, always Outkast. Outkast was, to me, Outkast like transcended the genre of hip hop altogether.
Yeah, Outkast was something special. Oh man, like it was to me, like Outkast, those guys really set the blueprint of who a lot of these young cats are today. And when you talk to them, they'll say, I got influenced by the Outkast, Little Johns, Kanye West, people that you may not pay no mind to, but then you realize that, oh shoot, they was really ahead of their time, but we didn't appreciate it because we were so caught up in the moment.
But as we get older, you get to go back, man, and you get to listen to those albums and listen to those deep cuts, like some of those songs that might not be on the radio, and you're like, yo, this is such a good song.
Shout out to YouTube and all your streaming services that reintroduce us to some of our favorite artists.
Y'all know Jermaine Cole about to come back out with an album next week, so y'all stay tuned.
Yeah, I know. Like that's about to be on repeat for a while. So I hope it's come out on a Saturday, so I have something to listen to all day at work.
So O'Shea, what do you feel is missing in wrestling?
Let me answer that question. Ask your question. Behind the curtain or in the ring?
Both. Ooh, in the ring, because I feel like face and heel is people get that misconstrued. So, but that's just me.
The one thing that I sometimes I feel I don't say that it's so much missing, but it tends to be lacking is like stories that matter. The hardest thing to do on the indies right now are tell these longer stories because you don't know who's going to be here the next day. You don't know who will be here the next week or next month, who's going to get signed, who's going to get hurt, who's going to quit. So trying to tell like long stories is hard to do, but when you're able to pull it off, man, it's just so much fun. It's such a good moment to like pay off a long program. Um, Behind the curtain, like, communication, man, communication and the rest sucks. Um, Half the time you don't know what you're doing until you get there. Um, and if you do know what you're gonna do before you get there, that's gonna change. Times are gonna change, but that kind of goes with the business where you have to kind of like be on the fly with stuff. But still, like communication and anything goes a long way. I wish more people had it. I wish more people would use it effectively. It can make shows run a lot smoother.
I agree, because not everybody knows. Everyone's willing to do this and not listen. And I feel like at times, especially in the wrestling business, like
Hmm.
sometimes you just gotta step back and hear, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. You gotta hear what's going on and keep your ears to the streets, because streets be talking.
Hmm. Yeah, pretty much.
Talk a little bit about how you made your way into Ring of Honor. I think it's so dope, and I think that it's unique because I feel like you've always been like climbing and climbing, and I feel like when you chose ROH, you chose it for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So talk a little
Um,
bit about your journey to ROH.
Honestly, it got to a point where I realized, man, I'm talking a lot of shit right now, and I gotta make it. I've talked way too much shit for me not to. But Ring of Honor is something that I've been wanting to do for a very long time since I got started in wrestling in like 2015. Um, I went to a tryout camp in 2016, and I was like a little less than a year in, so I kind of lied on the paperwork because you had to be working for more than a year. And I was like, yeah, sure. I've been working for a year. Screw it. Why not? He's like, yeah, come on in. So at the time, I'm in the room with like Josh Woods, Brian Malonis, like Karen Q, like a lot of people who are either in Ring of Honor now or in WWE, or they're still just like a hot name on the indies.
Mm-hmm.
And my biggest thing was to um uh I needed to see where I stood. That's my
Mm-hmm.
biggest thing. I'm a sucker for competition. I want to see where I stand with some of the ones who are considered like the best. Because if I can hang with them, I'm not saying I had to beat them, but if I can hang with them, then I know I'm going to be okay. Um, so you're up there for 2 days, and they kind of split you up into doing like in-ring stuff first, and then promos, and then they swap the next day, and then at the end of each day,
Mm.
you have like this giant like they kind of put on this card. Now, these are people who are watching is Christopher Daniels, um, Delirious, Punishment Martinez, now known as Damian Priest.
I still call him
Kelly
Punishment
Klein.
Martinez. That's
I
fine.
still, I still, I still call him, I still call him
I
Punishment.
still call
You
him
know,
that.
like I still call him Punishment, and like all these other like names who are just like, yo, like it'll make you freeze if you're not careful. Like you will freeze up, and like BJ Whitmer's there and all that good stuff. And so if I was being honest with myself, I always said, yo, my promo game was A plus. My in-ring game, however, was a solid C minus. Um, because I never got a chance to work somebody who was better than me, just athletically. So now I'm in the ring with people who are not only better in ring, but now these guys are better than me athletically. And it's the first time ever in my life where I'm having to like catch up. Um, so when it was all said and done, they pulled me aside and they're like, "Hey, man, this isn't a no. This isn't yet. You got to keep working. You got to start working people better than you." And so for 2 years, that's all I did was just hit the streets, just hit the streets, trying to find wrestle. Like, let's just go. I didn't know who you was. Like, let's just wrestle, and everything else will catch up. They gave us some camps before them, but I didn't feel like I was ready yet. So 2018 in October, I go up there again, but this time, like, I'm a little bit more secure in who I am. My gear changed, my body changed, like everything how I even presented myself and how I did promos absolutely like changed. And so I'm in a room with like 30 of my people, and I remember just kind of sitting there looking around, and I'm the only cat from Georgia who came by himself. QT Marshall had some cats up there at the time, but they're a part of a group. It's just me. I don't have anybody like to vouch for me. I didn't care. And so I kind of remember sitting in that room looking around, and I was like, I don't know what the rest of you guys came up here for, but I came up here for a job, and I'm not leaving until I get this damn job. And I had 2 days to prove it. And in 48 hours, I showed my ass. I just showed my ass. And then when it was all said and done, they pulled me back aside and it's like, hey, like, there's no money up front, but if you want to come up here and train with us, if you want to come up here and do the deal and show us what you got, the invite's yours. You just got to get up here. And I was just like, okay. So I kind of cashed in all my chips and moved to Baltimore.
Wow.
How do you like it there?
Yeah.
It's all right. It's all right. It's still have to get used to. They can't drive up here. They can't drive at all. But at the same time, it's a different area, so I get to like really explore a little more, and that's what I'm doing when I come out wrestling, explore a little more. So that's pretty much what I've been doing when I can, if I'm not at my other job and all that good stuff. But even those the 2 years I spent up here, it was really just me hustling. Pretty much, I told people before, like when you play high school football, like your playbook's like maybe like 3 or 4 pieces of paper stapled together. I was like, but when you get into the college, you get a binder that's continues getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and you got to know that playbook. This was the same way. I've been trained to wrestle in front of a few hundred people, but now Ring of Honor is training to wrestle in front of a few thousand, and then a few hundred more thousand watching at home. And they ain't got time to like teach you how to step. You better know how to do this before you get up here. And so it was a learning curve, but I was all about it.
So do you think the dojo kind of taught you how to wrestle in like for TV? Because that's something that we talk about on our podcast a lot, is certain indie guys that are on like AEW or NXT or whatever the case may be, that they're not like TV ready. So do you think the dojo for like ROH teaches, like, do they teach that there, like how to look at hard cam, how to
yes there's cameras everywhere. There's cameras everywhere, and they want to see if you know it. They want to see if you have kind of know where everything is. Because some of that stuff you can't teach, like some of that stuff you live. Camera is you're not playing you, this, that, and the other, and da 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 da. But they teach us all the time. Like, we spend more time out of the ring watching tape than we do in the ring, which is fine. You get at this point in time interested in bumps and do whatever. But now it's about learning the production. It's about knowing cues, knowing comp spots, and all that good stuff to make sure that when we're on TV, we're maximizing the minutes and we're not having to worry about, oh man, this match doesn't work because this jackass didn't look at the camera. And so, for you on that stage, you're going to make sure you know it, because they're not going to spend money on you if you don't know what you're doing.
So how did the opportunity to join forces with Shane Taylor come about?
Talking shit. No.
I mean, I believe it. If it's him, I believe it.
Yeah. It was one of those things of where is even though I moved up here, I was still on the indies. I was still like trying to get my name out, do this, do that. I was getting bigger in like the DMV area, kind of transforming that into what it is. And so it was one of those things where Shane kind of pulled me aside and he was like, "Hey man, I see what you're doing. That everyone else sees what you're doing, even though they may not tell you, but people are watching. You are doing it exactly the way you need to be doing it." It was a lot of it was like preliminary talks about what he wanted to do and how he envisioned Shane Taylor Promotions like coming about. But as we talked, he was like, it wasn't like, and if you play the cards right, you can get in. It was as he was talking, it's like, nah, man, we built this especially to bring people like you into the fold if you want to be in. And of course, I'm like, yeah, you kidding me? Of course I do. And so from there, it was just really more of doing what I was supposed to be doing and then waiting for the right time for it to finally pop off.
Well, as you see, Sir Wilkins has joined us. Do you have any questions for our lovely guest?
Sorry guys, I was taking care of some stuff. And I'm happy to have you. I think, honestly speaking, you have some of the best mic skills in the independent circuit in wrestling right now for younger talent. And I actually mean that. I already told you in pre-production, there was a promo that you had. I was just like, oh, that's fire. That was fire.
Yeah.
That was a fire in that. and how did you get so good at cutting promos?
Honestly, man, I was a theater kid growing up. Like I took theater in high school. I took theater in college. But I wasn't taking it as like a way of like I want to be an actor. I just enjoyed it. I enjoyed reading the Shakespearean play. I enjoyed learning lines, only to, as I say, forget my lines. And then making a character, like, it's one thing to become a character. It's another thing to make a character your own. And so I enjoyed that. I enjoyed taking lines, feeling them, and then kind of getting a chance to. It wasn't what I was saying. It was always how I was saying it. To me, tone and inflection mean everything. You can understand when someone hates your guts just how he says hello to you. Like I enjoy that. I also write. I write a bunch. Even if I go on a Post-it note, like I just write. I write all day long. I have like notebooks upon notebooks scattered about my house, which is random promo ideas, random lines that I may use later, that I may just pop out of nowhere. I was like, oh yeah, I've been holding on that for like 4 years. Just getting in front of a camera though was easy. To me, it was easy. Some people may think of it differently, because for me, I was never talking to the camera. I tell people to talk through the camera. The camera is a vehicle to the other person on the other side. And so I never wanted to seem as if I was talking at somebody. I would be like, I'm talking to somebody. And we all know the difference between talking like at somebody, talking to somebody. I just hated it. I hated when somebody talked at me. It made me feel stupid. I'm like, I want this dude's money. I don't want him to be stupid. I just want him to be invested in it. So I find ways to get people invested in what I was saying, how I was saying it, and then more importantly, why I was saying it.
That's fucking amazing. Has there ever been a point where you're like, I'm done with this shit, I don't want to do this anymore?
Brother, every day. No, no,
I'll be like, damn.
Every day. No, man, honestly, like there are days that are better than others. There are days where like I just don't want to wrestle and I want to go home and I just want to, excuse me, and I kind of just want to be a lazy bum. But I didn't come this far just to get this far. I very rarely is there something where you do something for the first time and you're just naturally good at it. The only other thing I've ever done with my life where I was naturally good at something was when I was a fireman. It's the only other time in my life where after the first day I'm like, I got this licked. Like this ain't gonna be nothing. It's a good feeling. I don't want to let that feeling go anytime soon. But I got more gas in the tank, man. I got so many more stories to tell, so many more promos to film. And then even when I can't go physically, I still want to produce. I still want to agent. I still want to help run a show, this, that, and the other. Like I love wrestling and I want to be a part of it for as long as I possibly can.
So, question. Talk about your time as a fireman.
You spun out fires. That's
Man, look, that was some of the most traumatic times of my life. Where I worked was in Metro Atlanta, like kind of south by the airport, and so I tell people all the time, I was like, yo, South Metro Atlanta is like the wild, wild west. Those boys don't care. Those boys are bananas. Like they out there shooting folk, and usually when that was happening, I was right there in the middle of it, putting out fires, doing this, that, and the other, some story I tell people all the time is like, the stories that I tell people as I was a fireman are the ones that I'm comfortable with telling. So imagine the ones that I'm not comfortable with telling. And so some people like, well, how come you want to tell those? I'm like, and I get very blunt. And I'm like, because you can't handle it. Your shoulders aren't wide enough to handle the amount of trauma that I'm going to put on you, but mine are. So let me hold this one by myself, because if I give it to anybody else, it'll crush you. And usually when I play like that, people go, oh, I'm like, yeah, I don't mean that to be negative. I'm just saying like, hey man,
no, that's
like,
real shit.
There's a reason why I'm not telling you this story. Like there's a reason why the stories I'm going to tell, I'm not telling you. You don't need to know. Like just let me hold on to that. So, but being a fireman as traumatic as it was one of the, like I said, it's one of the best things I've ever done in my life. It was either that or join the military, because I wanted to be a part of something that was bigger than myself. Yeah, that's it. I wanted something that was bigger than me, and there was nothing like literally kind of you're in somebody's emergency and in the middle of their chaos and their world crumbling around them, man, they called you. Of all the people, they called you, and you want to be there for them, and you want to, let them know that, hey, despite everything going on, somebody's got you, and being a firefighter, man, that's what it was. It was no matter what you were going through, you weren't alone. We got you. And that's a great feeling. That's a great feeling.
No wonder why the hood love firefighters and hate cops. Makes sense.
The whole saying goes, no one ever made a song saying fuck the fire department. So
never.
There's never a song saying fuck the fire department, man. Everybody knows firemen.
You know what's crazy?
No,
you know what's crazy?
Valid.
You know what's crazy is so I know what you're talking about, because I had went for the fire department test in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like a little training program that you do before you go for the test. They did like practice tests and everything.
Yeah.
And this dude comes up in the front. He's like, listen, I know you guys want to be firefighters, but I'm gonna be very honest with you guys. When you start with one man to your left and one man to your right. 1 year later, that one man to your left is dead.
Yep.
Another year after that, that man to your right, he's also dead.
Yep.
Do you want to be here?
Yep.
And I was like, oh,
yeah,
this is what we're doing.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's sobering. It really is sobering, but it's the truth. Like very, I was very lucky to where like a lot of the guys I worked with, like we didn't have to go through that, because as it stands now, like firefighting is exactly what it is. Like it's very dangerous, but as more technology has gotten better and safety precautions have gotten better, like you really got to screw up to like not make it. Like you really got to screw the pooch, or like you have to hit that 1 in a billion chance where everything just goes completely wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact of the matter is though, it was there, and I tell people all the time, man, I was like that. You had to be aware of your own mortality at all times. That at any point in time, brother, time's up, and you'll never see it coming.
Yeah.
Dang, more of a lighter note though.
Right.
Like let's make this thing more lighter though.
Like
So
let's love life, blessings.
So
well,
yeah, more lighter note though. I'm surprised that you haven't named one of your moves the Raging Demon in homage to one of the greatest demon, Akuma. I'm surprised you haven't done that yet.
But that's what the beads are for. The beads are my it's how the beads are how I honor Akuma. Like I said, big video game nut. Even though I suck at fighting games, I still play them anyway.
So
I get crushed. Don't care. Still play them. But Akuma was always my dude. Akuma had that inside of him that he's like, yo, man, I'm here to beat everybody because I can. And the beads were my way of my little wink, wink, nudge, nudge to Akuma. So I hope I'm doing him proud when he sees it.
Hopefully you don't see him because that would be kind of
hopefully creepy. I don't see him. If I'm pretty sure if I see him, I'm in trouble. But still.
Man. But that's dope though, because Akuma is like kind of like you.
Mm-hmm.
You have that. There's the I'm a beat your ass, but then there's like the deeper, darker version of Akuma.
Yeah, like people always consider Akuma was like the bad guy. I was like, nah, man, Akuma didn't discriminate. Like he would beat Ryu and then turn around and beat M. Bison and didn't care. Like they were all the same person to him. It's like I just want to fight the best. I don't care who they are. I don't care what you stand for. The whole thing of like, fuck you and the set you claim. I'm just here to kick somebody's ass. And that was always been my deal. Like, yo, I don't care who you are, where you come from. I just want to fight. If you want to fight, let's just fight.
Question. You like Akuma, that's fine. Ryu or Ken, if you had to choose?
Ryu.
Why?
Because even he figured it out that, yo, Akuma's not wrong. Like, Akuma's not wrong. And he figured it out, and even he was like, okay, sometimes to be the one thing that like I always wanted to be, I have to do the one thing I never thought I would do. And that's when he found like the Dark Hado, and then he was in, and then you had like Dark Ryu, and he got it. He was like, okay, cool, I get this now. Sometimes you have to sacrifice yourself to get where you want to be. Like nothing's free. Everything costs something. And sometimes sometimes you got to give a piece of yourself up to get where you got to go. Is it worth it? And as the story goes on for Ryu, it was worth it.
So then you agree with Thanos then in Avengers?
Oh yes, hands down. Yeah, he was kind of a dick about it, but I was like, I remember being in a movie going, he ain't wrong.
He got a point.
He's got a point.
See, now I'm tuned in because that one before I was like, I don't know who the fuck y'all talking about, but Thanos, I know.
Yeah, but
okay, I agree with Thanos 100%, but it's sometimes make me feel like how true what he's saying is really true compared to real life. Because after Avengers came out, COVID, everyone was dying again.
Right.
This is me just being a guy that who's to sit 10 hours a day on YouTube and look up conspiracy theories. But that's a whole nother story for another day, though. But it makes you think that how much is Hollywood is bleeding into real life with that story, because they always say if you look at different conspirators such as Alex Jones, they always talk about they try to bring the population down to a certain percentage.
Art always imitates life.
Mm-hmm.
Art will always imitate life. And I think, and I'm probably going to butcher the line. But Thanos had a mean line where he was like, pretty much he was like, there was an issue. I was the only one pretty much who had the balls to do something about it. And I could really get behind it where I'm like, yo, it's really easy to bitch, moan, and complain. It's
when
something
no one wants to
completely
do it.
right when no one wants to do it, but it's real easy to like sit there and villainize and bastardize the guy who actually goes off and does something about it. And a part of me was like, he ain't wrong.
You have a point. He ain't wrong.
He ain't wrong.
He was out here
He ain't
spitting.
wrong.
Cause it was
I'm
like,
I was like, God, you want to hate him, but you're like,
this nigga's spitting.
Yeah, and so
but he was
like
looking for balance.
It was balanced. But what people don't understand is like when it comes to balance, it requires sacrifice.
Correct. You gotta lose things to get.
You gotta lose. But here's the thing, and I'm about to tie this in perfectly. When it comes to wrestling, everybody wants to be a superstar until you realize how much it's gonna cost you. What it's gonna cost me doesn't cost the guy next to me and the guy next to him. It's going to ask something different from everybody. Are you willing to pay the price to get where you want to be? And then even if you pay the price to get where you need to be, it's still not guaranteed you're going to get it.
Right. Because even I watched, I don't know if you, because we haven't recorded, so we hadn't talked about like Austin's biography.
I was just about to say that.
And he mentioned that level of sacrifice he mentioned because he said, I think it was his second daughter, and she went into labor. He got on the plane, saw the baby born, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Then the next day got back on the plane to go to a show. So it's like a lot of the times, you know, for someone that doesn't have kids, they sacrifice in other things. But like when Austin said that, and he kind of low-key chose wrestling over family, I was just but you have to sit in that and realize that's the sacrifice you made.
That's sacrifice. And then there's also that, and what people don't understand is with that sacrifice, there is a reason why he's sacrificing what he's sacrificing. You know what I'm saying? Like this man is going to put a living. He's going to provide in such a fashion for his family forever. That you just don't trip and fall into that. Somewhere, somebody has to like grind and hustle and like do all the things they don't want to do so that the next up in line doesn't have to do it anymore. Can you imagine like if my dad was like this giant professional football player and he did this and that to the point where he's like, I made all this money and I did all this so my son doesn't have to play football. He can do something else. My son could be a doctor now. My son could do this. My son could do that. And I'm just like, yup. Like I would do that all the time. If it meant that I don't have any kids, but it's like if I did everything I was supposed to do so that like my kid didn't have to do it, I do it every single time. Like I do it twice.
This is true. Gentlemen, last questions before we say our farewells. So we'll see you later because we'll see him in a few weeks.
Memorial weekend.
So I don't know if the guys talked about this, but since you were on the deeper side of things and sacrifice and stuff, politics in the industry.
Yes.
How have you dealt with it? Because you're getting your name up there, but yet there's a lot of bullshit that comes with it, as we all spoke about.
Right.
How do you deal with it, especially being a man of color in this industry that's predominantly not filled with us?
Right. So, and this is the thing that I tell people. It's one of the things that actually tends to get forgotten. Is before I became a wrestler, I was already professional. Like I was already like 10 years deep into the fire department, well before I stepped into a wrestling ring. So I tell people all the time, I was like, understand something, son. Like I'm already a grown ass man. Like I've seen shit that make you blush. And so for me, I was like, one, ain't nobody gonna talk to me any old way. Just ain't gonna happen. Like, no, don't think so. But two, like a lot of people didn't want to mess with me because of it, which is fine because you've done me a service. Now I ain't got to mess with you, but with the politics and this is business. This politics, no matter what you do, there's going to be politics involved. My parents taught me how to be respectful to everybody, regardless, respectful. They instilled a level of tact and diplomacy in me, because sometimes the square peg doesn't fit in the round hole, and you have to find another way to, like the way I talk to you guys tonight. I can't go to work and talk that same way. I gotta change that up a little bit, and that's something that like some people don't understand. There's some things that some people just don't even get. Right. That like, just because I talk to my friends this, that way, and the other doesn't mean that I can talk to you that way. And it's no level of disrespect. It's just, this is what it is. This is business now. So I tell people all the time where I'm like, we can be friends in wrestling, but the minute we start talking about like money, then our friendship gets put on pause just for a second, because you're not talking to your friend O'Shea. You're talking to the businessman O'Shea. And trust me, businessman O'Shea ain't taking no shit off of nobody, because you messing with his money. And I'm about my money. So, but once we're done, we can go right back to being friends. I refuse to let like business mix with my friendships, just because people get their feelings hurt. And I'm not getting my feelings hurt. I'm probably gonna hurt somebody else's feelings. But we also, as people of color, we also have to stand true to who we are. We have to be able to, this is who I am. I'm not going to sacrifice this for nobody. And I'm willing to sacrifice whatever it takes to stand the line. I've had some people come up to me who will say some wild ass shit like, oh yeah, we want you to do this. And I look at them and go, no. Well, what do you mean no? First of all, I said no. And then second of all, I ain't doing it, because you ain't paying me enough to do it. And then two, my dignity's worth way much more than the $100 you're trying to pay me right now. Once again, that rubs people the wrong way. And I'm like, I guess for me, I don't care. Like, that's fine. It doesn't have to, you ain't got to like it, but this is the way it's got to be. Because I got to look myself in the mirror. And I haven't been ashamed of nothing I've done. I don't regret nothing I've done, and I'm sure it's ain't about to start now. So it's just one of those things of, within the politics, you got to understand what battle is this battle worth fighting? And for the battles that you are willing to fight, brother, you got to be, are you willing to do what needs to be done to win them? Once you kind of understand that, then you realize, one, not every battle I gotta fight, and not every battle I gotta win, but the battles I do choose to fight, I'm going to win them convincingly every single time.
All right, Mr. Black.
Final nothing, question. Man. I think that he answered all my questions. This is actually pretty well informed interview, especially for a lot of young up and coming Black men. Thank you so much for taking your time out, especially this late in the hour. Yeah, I know you're a very busy man, but
Janelle, stop.
I'm just saying.
If it makes you feel better, as soon as it's over, I'm going straight to bed. So we're good.
We all are not. We still have another conversation to have.
I gotta be up at 3 a.m.
Yeah, I gotta be up at 5. So I'm like, nah, man. Once it's over, I'm going straight to bed.
But thank you for taking time out tonight to do this, though.
Yes.
No, it's no problem, man. Me and the guys from Battle Club, man, we go way back. And so me moving made things a lot easier to kind of like get on these shows I've been trying to get on for a while. So like when they came up to me and asked like, hey, we really want you to kind of like put us, if you wouldn't mind like representing us through this podcast, I was like, yeah, man, because it's you, I'll do it. Like lately I've been telling a lot of people no. Like, no.
Well, because we know you don't got no issue saying no, but we do.
Yeah, I got no issue saying
no. We do appreciate it. My last question, and then you can plug yourself and let everyone know of upcoming shows. Dream matches. Who are some people you would love to get in the ring? And I'm not only asking just so the viewers and we know, but like,
Right.
You know some people that know some
Like,
people. So
like dead or alive, or just
I would prefer alive
realistically.
because
Okay, realistically.
yeah, just because
Okay.
like if we had the
Right.
opportunity to
Right.
make it happen, I
Right.
would
Yeah.
love
Of
to make it
course. Of
happen.
course. Of course. Of
You know,
course. There's a few. Well, luckily, there's a few matches that I've already had so far that I really enjoy. Even though I wouldn't mind doing it again.
like
Like
which
John,
ones?
like John Davis, I would love to do it again. That was so much
He's
fun.
so dope.
So dope. So he's
dope.
literally like he is that dude, but that he's an OG. And I'm
Yeah.
just like he's just an OG. And you're like, yep. But for those who I haven't shared a ring with, like Chris Bay, I want to share a ring with him. Darius Lockhart, I want to share a ring with him.
That's
Daniel
my
Makabe.
guy.
Yes, right. Daniel Makabe out of Vancouver, I want to share a ring with him.
Oh.
B-boy, God bless. Yo, when he gets better, I'm telling you, I got to get that match out in Cali. So Mysterious Q out of Texas.
Yes.
Yes. I want to wrestle him. Man, there's like, now that I'm saying it, man, there's so many different like levels of names that I like. Trey Lamar, I want to wrestle him. Ace Austin, I want to wrestle him. Josh Alexander, yo, I want to wrestle that dude so
He is so underrated.
fucking bad. He's
super
so
underrated.
And I'm
super
so
underrated.
glad that now he's on. Like him and Ethan Page as a tag team was dope.
Right.
But I'm so glad right now he's in a position of being on his own.
Yes. And even though we shared a ring as a multi-man, I would love to wrestle Ethan Page one-on-one. I want to wrestle Ricky Starks one-on-one. I want to wrestle Will Hobbs one-on-one. I've never wanted to toss another man like so far in my life. Like I just want to look at him and go, you, and put him somewhere else. Yo, I could do this all day long. But then even within Ring of Honor, like I want to share the ring with Jonathan Gresham. I want to share the ring with Kenny King. I want to share with Jay Lethal. You know, like PCO. Yo, honestly, Mark and Jay Briscoe, I want to beat the teetotal shit out those boys as much as humanly possible. Since the first day I saw them, I'm like, yo, I want to wrestle those cats. Because as hard as I like to get hit hard because they hit hard. And I think the first time they hit me, I looked at them, I'm going, yep, this is going to be a thing. Because my thing is if you hit me as hard as you can, because now I know where the line is. I'm like, cool, here's mine. And I bet money I'm coming a lot harder than you think I am.
Well, like we said, it has been a pleasure and honor. You are the first guest in our series leading up to the Battle Club Pro Show May 29th in Ridgeville Park. So we are thankful and blessed that you were able to come on. So plug your social media, let the fans and viewers know where to find you. And if outside of Battle Club Pro, any other shows you are booked for.
Right. You can find me on Twitter at Big Bet Kaiju. You can find me on Instagram, Big Bet Kaiju, period, after every word. I tell people, you can find me on Facebook, but unless I like actively know you, I ain't gonna add you. So good luck, good luck for it. For merch that you can't find, like can't get to a show, you can support me on merch at whatamaneuver.net. You can just search O'Shea Edwards, all the shirts I have up there, and some stuff that I don't keep on the table. So some of the older designs that I have are on there as well. As of other shows that I have coming up, really the biggest one really is Battle Club. I got to be back in Augusta, Georgia the week before for Intense Wrestling Entertainment down in Augusta, Georgia. I got some stuff going on in June, but they're more like tapings to kind of like be to be published later, so I can't really speak on it right now. But even still, man, despite the despite the pandemic, wrestling still has been very good to me. I've been able to keep a quasi decent schedule. May not be as busy as it was prior to COVID, but it's coming. I know it's coming. I've worked very, very hard to get where I'm at, and I'll be damned if I'm going to let COVID stop me now.
Amen.
There you go. And I think we've been on the same kind of like mentality where we didn't allow COVID to really, stop what we had going. We had some really dope interviews, especially the high peak of COVID too. So, we're thankful.
Right.
It was a blessing in disguise in a way, because I just think there wouldn't have been certain things that's been in motion would have happened if, unfortunately the pandemic started. So
right, but for some people, the worst thing that could have happened was the pandemic, and in that same, like for me, the worst thing that could have happened to me was the pandemic. But at the same time, the best thing that ever could have happened to me
was the pandemic.
Was the pandemic. And so it's like I said, it's all about how you look at it. It's all about perspective and all that good stuff. So I'm not a religious man, but I know for a fact that I am blessed and highly favored. So I'm gonna be okay.
There you go. So once again, those that are watching, you can catch O'Shea Edwards live and in color at Battle Club Pro on May 29th in Richfield Park. Tickets are on sale now, so make sure to go support. He's in that first round going against your boy, Mrblacc, and I think Darius Carter too.
Yeah, Darius Carter, Big Time Ya, and Either Surreal.
There you go.
I'll let you know from right now.
Oh God,
you ain't beating my man Big Time Yaya, B. You ain't beating him, B.
Okay,
that's his advocate.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, talk is cheap is why everyone does it. So, like I said, I'm not too worried about it. And for the most part, I tell you what, man, you can wish, and they'll actually put what happens in one hand and then shit in the other, and we'll see which one fills up faster.
Well,
man.
That's a good way to end the episode. Okay. That is, I can't say nothing else after that. So,
all right.
Once again, you can follow us at the Jobbertears Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Subscribe to the Jobbertears Podcast Network. You can always find us and our other amazing podcasts that we have under our network. Those that are watching live, make sure to come out tomorrow night. AEW Blood and Guts Cinco de Mayo party, $5 tequila shots at Legends. So come out, support. Other than that, gentlemen, thank you so much, O'Shea, for everything. Yes. We can't wait to actually meet you in person and chop it up. And that is that. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us on tonight's episode of the JTP Lounge. We will see you guys next week. # Black Excellence. # we are out. How you just gonna disappear?
That was fun.